So the Detroit Pistons, on the back of Sekou Doumbouya and Killian Hayes, the two best French players of all time, have managed to blow out the OKC Thunder. We just saw a taste of the future and why the Detroit Pistons are going to be champions in just a couple of years. So anyways, that was probably the best game of the Pistons season. Not just because of the win, because they've probably played better games. Well, they have, because the OKC Thunder at the moment are a G League team, and that's why we shouldn't get too caught up. The thing that excited me about this performance was the fact that it wasn't things that we haven't seen before. It's not like Sekou Doumbouya was doing reverse dunks or windmill dunks, which would be cool. They would definitely be cool. But they were things that he has in his locker, taking players off the dribble, similar size to him, beating them with strength, getting to the rim, attacking the rim, hitting a couple of three-point shots, attacking the boards, defensively staying engaged on any and everyone. And this is what we saw all across the board. It wasn't just a game where it was just free and easy buckets. No, they were getting their buckets and they were working for them. And the Pistons played really well, particularly their young core. Now, before I get any further, if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, it would be much appreciated. I make content like this every single day, just about, and a lot of Pistons content as well. So if you want to see more of that, that would be cool. Anyways, let's start with Killian Hayes, because he's someone who sat out for a long time, and after his first 7 games of the season, in which he underwhelmed, at least for most people, because they were expecting someone off the back of Summer League, off the back of a couple of weeks of training camp, as one of the youngest players in the NBA to come into a starting position and average 10 points, 12 assists a game. That's kind of what everyone expected. So even still, he did underwhelm. I'll give him that. It wasn't the best start to his career. He showed flashes, but that's all they were. Since he's come back, even against the Knicks, everyone was like, Killian, just score the ball. Killian, just score the ball. Shut up, man. Shut up, man. He did what he had to do, and he was making plays against the New York Knicks. And that's why I don't think this was an anomaly against the OKC Thunder, because against the Knicks, if you watched the game and didn't just look at the box score, he had 0 points, 3 assists, whatever it was. He had just as many dimes as he did this game. Players weren't knocking down their shots. He had one dime that was unbelievable. A bounce pass to Isaiah Stewart in transition, in traffic. It was an unbelievable pass. One of the better passes I've seen from any Pistons player all year. He's already probably made 4 or 5 passes in 2 games in 40 minutes, better than pretty much any Pistons pass all year. So he's a great passer. For a rookie, he's already a great passer. I'm willing to stake my claim on that. Scoring-wise, he's still got some work to do, because although he ended up with 9 points, there's still some issues in his game. You can see sometimes he struggles to get the separation. He's not an elite athlete, and he's not like 6'8", so he's stuck in a bit of no man's land sometimes when it comes to scoring. So I think from a scoring perspective, he's going to need a lot of misdirection. He's going to need to get better moving off the ball. He's going to need to come off screens, but he's also going to have the ability to pass, and that passing pulls defenses into other players, which gives him more space on the floor. I think that will come, but overall, it was a fantastic game. Defensively as well, he was locked in. He ended up with 4 steals or something, 2 blocks. I don't know, but he played fantastic defense. And overall, he's actually been locked in defensively all 9 games of the season. Even going back to a game against the Atlanta Hawks earlier in the season, he clamped up Trae Young on a few possessions. He's shown that he's a good defender already. And then passing-wise, he's fantastic. Really, the only thing he's struggled with is scoring. And this is the funny thing with rookies and just the NBA in general. When it comes to Killian Hayes, he's probably already one of the best passers of any rookie in the class. He's already shown he's one of the better guard defenders of rookies, particularly high-end rookies that don't like to defend often. He just has struggled scoring. If you looked at any other rookie, say Anthony Edwards, who's struggling with other aspects of the game, like sometimes defensively, playmaking, shot selection, all of those things, people don't mind as much because he's scoring the ball. But when it comes to someone who does everything well apart from score the ball, it's like, oh, it's crisis. You understand there's more to the game of basketball than just scoring. And as time goes on, we can see he's still got a solid shot. It's not like he's got a hitch in his shot. It's not like he looks like he's chucking a brick into the ocean. No, he's got a solid enough shot to the point where, at the very least, he's going to be a threat from outside, from the mid-range, and he shows that he can get to the rim when he uses that passing threat as well. We don't need to always focus so much on the scoring. Look at everything else he's doing, and the scoring might come as well. Like, this is someone who's played 9 games and suffered a pretty serious hip injury as well, which he's come back from and looked even better than before, which says something about the work he was putting in while he was injured. That's all I've got to say. And then moving on to the other Frenchman, Sekou Doumbouya. We've been crying out for some minutes. We finally got them. And Coach Casey said, in the post-game press conference that Sekou asserted himself defensively to start the game. And he's not wrong at all. Sekou forced a couple of missed shots. He forced 2 or 3 turnovers off players traveling off him because he's someone that was sticking close to the man. Sometimes he got a foul as a result. I'm sure Casey would rather him be over-aggressive defensively than just kind of shy away. And he was doing that. He's someone who's 6'8". He's a big, solid body. He can move laterally. He's got the potential to be a versatile defender. That was his scouting report coming out of France. And then offensively, finally, what happens when you give him a bit of confidence? When you have the lane open up a little bit and he can actually drive to the rim instead of having 4 non-shooters on the floor at the same time. All of a sudden, Sekou can get out in transition. We saw him run the floor. He was making tough shots. It's not like he was just getting easy feeds and getting a couple of dunks. No, all of his shots he had to work for, and all of his shots showed his ability to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim, which is what he is specialist at doing. And then you add in the 3 ball. That's what I've said before. Sekou is someone that needs to get his buckets at the rim, and then the 3-point shot is a nice thing. His 3-point shot shouldn't be the be-all and end-all. It's like, oh, Sekou can shoot the 3 ball as well as attack the rim? That's nice. He looked good today. Sekou Doumbouya silenced a few haters for now. Let's give him a bit more time. I know they come up against the Denver Nuggets tomorrow, which is going to be a tough game. Let's not get too high on the highs and too low on the lows, because the Nuggets are one of the best teams in the NBA. And these players might struggle a bit because Casey will probably resort to putting them in for 5 minutes and then chucking them out when they miss a shot, which I hope doesn't happen. I think Casey saw what can happen if you give them some extended run. This wouldn't have happened if Sekou just went in for 4 minutes and then got kicked out. He actually had an extended run and an opportunity to make plays, which he did. Same as Killian Hayes. Those are obviously 2 guys I wanted to talk about because we haven't seen them play most of the season. Hayes injured and Sekou just completely out of the rotation. Even when he's been on the court, it just feels like he's not there, which you can't just put all on Casey, but he has had a very limited role. You have to agree with that, whether you dislike the guy or not. He's had a very limited role if you've watched the games, and this time he had more of an opportunity and he showed the skill he has. There's not many players his size that can put the ball on the floor and finish like he did. Sure, you might have your doubts over everything else, his game awareness, his game knowledge, his IQ, whatever you want to say. He put the ball on the floor and he attacked the rim like someone who has a lot of potential, which he still does as one of the youngest players in the NBA still. Other players worth noting, we're only going to talk about the young guys today because that's all we care about right now. Saben Lee continues to be solid. Wasn't his best game, but I still like Saben Lee as a backup point guard going forward. I think he can control the tempo of the game. He gets to his spots pretty well. He's someone who can play with the big man well, which is important for a bench unit because you know, often that pick and roll game with the big man and the backup point guard is often so prevalent. You look at the likes of Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. That's how a lot of those backup point guards get their points, particularly if they're undersized. And Saben Lee has shown an ability to do that. I think as time goes on, Killian Hayes will overtake him as a starter. Keep in mind, Saben Lee is like 3 years older than Killian Hayes as well. And he just doesn't have the vision. You can just already see some of the passes Hayes is making. No one else on the Pistons roster is even capable of making. Let's be honest. That's not me just trying to suck up to the number 1 pick from our team. No, he's genuinely making passes that we haven't seen anyone else on the team even think of making, and he's putting them on a dime, like a lob to Hamidou Diallo, like a lob to Isaiah Stewart, like cross-court passes to open shooters. He's doing that. Isaiah Stewart said it himself. He's just got a different feel for the game. He just said that. He's just got a different feel for the game, and you can see it. As time goes on, hopefully his scoring will come, but from a playmaking, from a game sense, you can already see why he was drafted with the 7th overall pick, and all these fans calling him a bust after 7 games. Yeah, let's give him a little bit more time. I just alluded to him before, but Beef Stew as well deserves some mention because he was absolutely dominating Moses Brown, who I like Moses Brown, but Beef Stew had him under wraps, I'm afraid. He just had him under wraps. He was dominating anyone who entered the paint. He was the paint protector of all paint protectors because he blocked about 4 shots in the space of 7 minutes. It was ridiculous. He was putting on a block party. He was running the floor. He was doing everything that we've seen from Isaiah Stewart. Oh, a couple of face-up jump shots as well, deep from the mid-range. He's got such good touch. His mid-range shots, they just look effortless. They look effortless. Like eventually you could probably see him taking them off the dribble. People who put a ceiling on him, or maybe he's going to be at best a starting center. I'm not putting any ceiling on Isaiah Stewart. He's still one of the youngest players in the NBA. He's already shown he's gone from someone that was just rim rolling and rebounding to now someone who can block shots, switch onto guards, and hit mid-range shots, face-up shots, post-ups, and three-point shots. All in the space of half a year. And you want to put a ceiling on that guy? No way. How am I going to put a ceiling on someone who's developed that much in half a year? And that's also a sign for fans to realize that it took half a year for him to develop into the player he currently is. Killian Hayes might need some more time to develop into the player he could be. Is there anything else worth noting? I mean, it was just a great game overall. Like I said, let's not get too high on the highs. Actually, let's get high on the highs. Scrap that. But let's not get too low on the lows. Just look for the glimpses. That's what people need to look for. Just look at the moments that he does well. And his vision, his defense, his engagement on the floor. That's what I've liked to see in both games. I didn't really take more out of this game than I took out of last game, apart from the fact, oh, he made some shots. Last game, he did exactly the same things in terms of seeing the floor and making passes. It's just this game, players were making shots, and he found a few easier shots because he realized, I can't just find three-point shooters on this team because there's just not many. And I'm not going to get many assists if I'm just chucking it out to Frank Jackson, whether he's guarded by no one or not. It's still not a guaranteed assist. So he's realized that, and that helped his assist tally. Hamidou Diallo showed what he has in terms of his athleticism, his ability to crash the boards, his aggressiveness. He also showed sometimes that can be a downfall because he was over-aggressive sometimes, just attacking the rim with no real idea what he was planning on doing and just trying to make it up on the fly. So hopefully as time goes on, his decision-making improves a bit. I know Thunder fans have talked about that. They said that was an issue with him, so it's not like this is an isolated incident, but we've still seen enough from him to suggest he could be a really nice backcourt partner next to Killian Hayes as more of an athletic guy who can rim run, who can attack the boards, who can play hard defense. The rebuild is well and truly underway, and we looked fantastic tonight, as did the French connection, as did Isaiah Stewart. Saddiq Bey has been solid all year. Not much to say about him. What else is there to say? Good game overall. Pistons basketball. You love to see it. Drop a like on the video. Have a good day. I'll catch you next time. Don't lose to the Nuggets.